All right, we are live from City Hall in the council chambers. We'll give everybody a second to get here. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Good evening. We just finished our first digital city council meeting. We're going to recap that and go over COVID stuff as well. Give us a few moments as we allow people to join into the live feed. So good evening. I hope everyone's having a great day. A first day to kick off the week, Monday. Good evening to everybody. So thank you all for joining us. Just give us a few moments. Stay with us for a few moments. We are going to get started with information in just a few minutes. Or less than a minute, actually. But we are just giving people some time to join us here. Good evening, everybody. Give everybody another 45 seconds, and then we will get started. Thank you for joining us as always. Have some great information that came from the City Council tonight. Thank you. This is a wonderful Mervo Blue and Gold and St. Mary's Blue and Gold tie. Thank you all for being here. Good evening. 20 seconds. We're going to get started in 20 seconds. So thank you, everybody. All right. All right. Good evening, everyone. We are live. Welcome to the April 6th COVID-19 and live update from City Council President Brandon Scott. I'm coming to you tonight live from the City Council chambers here at City Hall, where we just conducted our first virtual City Council meeting, which is a historic thing for the City of Baltimore. We're going to spend this live recapping what happened at the council meeting and answer your questions about the meeting and, of course, about the ever-growing COVID-19 situation throughout the city of Baltimore. So before we jump into the council meeting recap, I want to give you today's COVID statistics. We are now up to 435 cases of COVID-19 in the city of Baltimore, with 4,045 across the state of Maryland. So we again have to understand that this is a very serious situation, and we're going to continuously be dealing with it. So, as I said before, we had a city council meeting tonight, a virtual city council meeting where I was the only member actually in City Hall. Everyone else was away at their homes. Tonight we had some great things happen. I had an ordinance that introduced tonight that will require the Baltimore City Health Commissioners to report data about race and zip code and gender during a declared emergency, things that we know folks are fighting for at the state level. We want to make sure that we understand who COVID-19 is impacting in the city of Baltimore, and I have to always know that everything in Baltimore we have to do through a lens of equity, gender and racial equity, because we know in Baltimore your race, your zip code, where you live is unfortunately a lot of times tied to your health, whether you have asthma, whether you've been exposed to lead paint. So when you're dealing with a crisis like this, we know that those neighborhoods and people that live in them and people that are of those areas are more likely to contract something like this. They're more at risk. So we have to attack this with all the information that we can possibly have, and understanding how COVID-19 is breaking down amongst race, amongst gender, amongst age and zip code is a way for us to understand this virus's impact on our city and our most citizens that are most in need, our neighborhoods that are most in need, and we're going to make sure that we do that. For example, while black people only make up 12% of the state of Michigan's population, they make up about 40% of the COVID-19 deaths reported in that state. That's what we're trying to avoid here in the city of Baltimore. That's why I'm pushing to have this information shared so that we can then work with and get our health providers, get our health department, get all of our agencies, and most importantly, us as citizens of Baltimore working together to understand how we can mitigate those very issues. So we're going to keep you abreast in that. We'll make sure that we're posting the information about this legislation tomorrow so that you can see and read the entire bill for yourselves. I also tonight introduced a resolution updating the public on the COVID-19 epidemic, and in which we recommended the council. This was approved by the entire city council. This resolution was approved by the council tonight. The ordinance about the data reporting will have to go through a process where it has to be voted on multiple times. But this resolution approved tonight said that we should be taking the following actions. We said that the state, again, should publish data confirmed cases and deaths from COVID-19 by race, something that we're going to try to do here ourselves locally, that the state declare a moratorium on rent increases for the duration of the state of emergency, and retroactive to the beginning of the declaration of the state of emergency that has been issued here in the state of Maryland. Also, we ask that the state extend the executive order prohibiting eviction to 90 days after the state of emergency has been lifted. We know that everyone's struggling throughout this crisis, but we have to make sure that we're looking out for everyone in every way possible. We also ask that the federal government extend the moratorium on foreclosures and evictions for homeowners with mortgages backed by the Federal Housing Administration, Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, until June 30th. Right now it has an earlier timeline. We also ask that the federal government provide funding for a rent forgiveness program to assist residents who are financially impacted by the pandemic. We have seen a lot of work around working for homeowners, but we know that renters have to be covered. There are a lot of renters here in the city of Baltimore that are impacted and across the country. That's why we're asking the federal government to step up and do something for them as well. Also, the state of Maryland, we've asked the state to extend the executive order prohibiting utility termination services and late fees to 90 days after the end of the state of emergency, and then that unoccupied city-owned properties should be used for housing for people experiencing homelessness during the state of emergency. Also, we ask that the federal government ban financial institutions from instituting fines on customers or dinging customers' credit scores during this pandemic. Everyone is going to be hit by this financially. We have to make sure that we are looking out for everyone and making sure that people are not being preyed upon by financial institutions as well. We also ask that the federal government work in tandem with the states to remove charges for check cashing during this pandemic, and that the city health department create a toll-free hotline for mental health needs to be staffed by social workers, psychologists, and other mental health professionals. The last two things, we ask the state pause and prohibit all repossessions until 90 days after the state of emergency. And lastly, that the state provide free transportation through MTA for all essential employees during the state of emergency. The council again voted to immediately adopt this resolution this resolution, and we'll be sending this over to the state. We also tonight, we know that last year the council passed the Baltimore Clean Air Act that deals with our incinerators and the pollutants that are put into the air in Baltimore City. We know that there was a federal decision to overturn that. The council tonight, we voted unanimously to adopt the resolution asking the city's law department to appeal the court's decision to overturn Baltimore's law on incinerated emissions, what we all know is the Baltimore Clean Air Act. And then there was also some very important pieces of legislation passed through the council. There were two charter amendments to pass tonight in regards to veto and veto overrides of mayoral vetoes. You guys may remember that when the council first passed, the last time we passed raising the minimum wage, it was vetoed by Mayor Pugh, and we didn't even have the opportunity to try to override that because of timing. That's why we passed a bill that was introduced by Councilman Dorsey to change the timing for the overriding of the vetoes. You guys, the citizens, will have to approve that when you vote on in November. You will have to approve that. It's a charter amendment. We also voted to reduce the number of veto votes needed to override the mayor's veto, bringing it down to be in line with cities across the country and our neighboring jurisdictions. So that also will have to be approved by you, the voters, in November. So be sure to stay tuned as we're going to push that information out to you. We also tonight, we know that for now 3 years I've been asking the last two mayoral administrations to implement and provide a comprehensive gun violence reduction strategy, crime strategy in Baltimore City. And because the council, I got tired of waiting. We have passed tonight a piece of legislation that's going to require the mayor's office, hence moving forth, to provide that to the council. They have to provide a plan coordinated with health and all the police and all the agencies to the city council, and they have to provide it every 2 years with a update in the in-between years. So we passed that bill. So no matter who's going to be the mayor of Baltimore City, they will always now by law have to, if the mayor signs this legislation, and we have every indication that he will, have to present a crime plan to the city of Baltimore, because we know we cannot go years without a crime plan. And we had a big fight with the now former mayor about their inability to put out a crime plan. So those are the updates that we have from the city council. Just remember the updates that we have, the mandates that we have. Everyone should be staying home unless absolutely necessary, only going out to go to the grocery store, going out to get your medicine, things that you absolutely need, and whenever possible, wearing a mask when you're outside. We also know that we have our resource map that you guys can have access to that shows you all of the food sites and everything like that. And that's bit.ly/BeMoreCovidMap. Again, that's bit.ly/BeMoreCovidMap. And you can always pay attention to our social media feeds for us to be able to provide you with the latest information. So with that, I am going to pause and take questions from you guys. This is always the greatest point for us, is when we're getting to interact with you directly. So if you have any questions, please shoot them over. Someone asked the question, if you owe state taxes, how long do you have to make the payment? We know that they're providing extensions. If you direct message us, we will send you the link so you can see the link from the state about taxes in the state of Maryland. So thank you for that. Does anybody else have any other questions about COVID, about the city council meeting? Shoot them over to us so that we can answer your questions right here. Great question. So someone asked a question, what's the plan for police patrols when more officers become infected with COVID? This is something that I've been asking, and we know that we had an entire district shut down, and now some of those officers are going to be coming back to work, and we had to take people from other places and send them there. What has been said to me, and I'm going to continuously ask the police commissioner to make sure that they have a plan for how they're going to deal with these situations as they come up, to make sure that no matter what neighborhood, which district it is, that that people will be provided with the service from the police department that they need. As you saw over the weekend, I was a little disturbed because I had personally reached out to the police department last week about the Southwest District, actually last Monday, and was told there were no issues at that time. And then I was very disturbed to learn that then the whole district was going to be quarantined out on Saturday. But also, I've asked the mayor and his administration to start to administer thermometers, taking the temperatures of all of our frontline employees. Fire, police, DPW, those folks that are picking up our trash, our housing workers, all the folks at Rec and Parks who are doing these food service things, all of our frontline employees who are literally risking their lives even more so than normal to protect us. We have to start to look out for them as well. Let's see. So someone asked, how long are the inmates being helped during coronavirus? So this is an issue that we know that not just me, folks in the council and folks around the state have been pressuring Governor Hogan to change the way that the state is dealing with our prison population during corona. We're going to continue to advocate. I would suggest that every citizen that is concerned about how our inmates are being treated and why we haven't done some of the things that other states have done, to make sure that you call the governor's office consistently and putting pressure on them as well, because in Maryland, all of our prisons, for us here in Baltimore, all of our prisons are run by the state. Yes, the resolutions will be posted online and will be available online. You can always just go to BaltimoreCityCouncil.com and click legislation, our Legistar system, and you can search it there. But for these two in particular, what we'll probably do is post the links when they are available for us to share with everyone. It takes a while for the system to update. So the resolutions, just like the agenda, is always available online. Just go to BaltimoreCityCouncil.com and you can click and search legislation there. And if you look at the council meeting agenda, it has online, it has a link where it takes you right to the bill file for whichever piece of legislation that you're looking into. Let's see. So, will there only be one stimulus check, right? So we know that this is the first wave, right? I was actually on a conference call with our senators earlier today, and we know that there's going to be multiple bills that the federal government and Congress is going to pass for this crisis. I sent a letter about this particular one, and I'm going to continue to advocate for expanded payments, direct payments to citizens, expanded unemployment insurance, thinking about other things that the federal government can do to directly help United States citizens, and for me, of course, those in the city of Baltimore. So we know that they're sending out payments now, but we know that they're going to have to come back again. They know that they're going to have to come back again and do more. So, are the first responders provided with masks or protective gear? They are, but again, that even only goes so much, and we know that there's a shortage of this PPE protective gear, not just in the city of Baltimore, but across the country. So we have to understand that and make sure that we have as much as possible. We're protecting our first responders. All right. The next question, how often, again, there we go, the stimulus checks, right? We have to continuously stay in listening into what's coming out from the federal government. We're going to continuously monitor what they're doing as we share the information. And actually, if you go, we're going to post the links to both Senator Cardin and Senator Van Hollen's websites into the feed here, so everyone can see it. Their websites have all the latest information on that. They're updating it each and every day. Let's see. We have some more questions here. Would it make sense to shut the city down for 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Listen, we know that we right now, essentially, when you think about it, and people only having the ability or should only be out for the reasons that they should be out, we should be adhering to that and staying at home. We have to flatten the curve. We have not, everybody, made it even to the worst of this as of yet. We have not seen that. More people are going to get sick. We don't want that to happen. We have to have folks staying home as much as possible. We have to have that. So thank you for that. And yes, we should keep pressing people to stay home. Let's see. Some more questions here. All right, yes. And so again, we're gonna make sure that we're getting information about the school system. We had Dr. Santelises actually present at the city council meeting, so that will be re-airing, and we'll make sure that we post that link so that you can see all the information and great work that they're doing. We're also going to try to get someone from the school system to come on the live feed with us so that they are directly providing you with that information. So thank you to that question as well. For unemployment, remember, we're going to put the unemployment information into the chat for everyone so that everyone has that. We know I actually was brought up on the call today with the members of our congressional senators, senators from our congressional delegation, about the long wait times and the phone calls and how long it takes. And they said they are aware of that and trying to work on this issue, but we're just going to have to be patient. They have expanded unemployment insurance for everyone, including self-proprietors. We have to make sure that everyone that needs access can get to it, and they're not done yet. They know. So if somebody has a question, are our kids going to pass, or will they have to repeat the same grade over, right? So again, they're still going to be getting grades. We're going to make sure that you have that direct information from the school system so that you can see that. We want them to participate in the Google Classroom and filling out those packets. They understand. We talked at length tonight about the digital divide. We're going to be trying to figure out how we can help them with that as well. But they are going to make sure that they can educate our kids in the best way possible throughout this crisis. Someone said, any kind of federal assistance, folks are still going to get that. That stuff is still going to be coming to you. You don't have to worry about that. So, listen, thank you. A great question about will kids have to go to school in the summertime. Right now, the plan is for the school year to stay like it is, right, to end where it is. And we have to see if they're going to even go back to school. All of these kind of things are going to be made under the advisement of public health professionals. Our school system CEO doesn't get to decide that. Our school board doesn't get to decide that. That will be made at the state level, and they will be doing that on the advice of the public health professionals. All right. Thank you all. And someone had a question about the Maryland Healthcare Connection. Make sure that you reach out to us. We're going to get you a direct answer to that. So thank you. So someone said, is there a plan for beefing-up testing even for those who are not showing symptoms? The answer, I say this each and every day. Every single city, every single state in the United States is all in unison saying to the federal leadership, and by that I mean the federal executive leadership, the president's staff, his individuals that work for him, about how they have fumbled and bumbled this testing thing by not taking this seriously. Everyone is awaiting more tests. Right now, testing, again, is only for those who may have come in direct contact or have the severe symptoms or pre-existing conditions, because we cannot right now allow tests to be wasted on those who are not showing the deep sick symptoms. We have to make sure that we are testing those who we know are at extreme level of risk right now. And everybody is impatient with the testing. We know that, folks, even here in Baltimore, at Johns Hopkins and other places, people are pushing to have more testing and more testing available to more people. But right now, that's just simply not the case, and we understand why that is, but we're just going to have to make sure that we're zeroing in on the most needy individuals right now. So someone asked, has the city considered any modifications to the farmers market? Right now, we want people to have access to that fresh fruit and other produce items, but we need people doing it in a safe manner. Social distancing, just like when you go to the supermarket, do the same thing at your local farmers market as well. So, again, this is a great question. Will funding for after-school and summer programs still be in effect for youth? So, as you know, last week the mayor's budget director presented to the Board of Estimates and then we provide the information out to the public that we are going to be suffering through this crisis fiscally and everything. So the budget that they were going to present to the city council for approval is going to be significantly changed. So everything is going to be significantly changed, and we just want you to stay tuned and work through and understand and stay with us on these lives and also at our council meetings that are all digital now, so that you can see how the budget is being handled. We are always at the council level going to fight to make sure that we are protecting our youth program programming at every cost, but we also understand that now the world is a little different. So you can rest assured that we are going to fight for things to improve the lives of our young people, but we also simultaneously have to understand and balance the impact that COVID is having. So someone says, if someone flies in from out of state, can they fly back out from MD? So I think this is the question. We know that the governor, if you are coming from out of town back into Maryland, we want you to self-quarantine yourselves for 14 days. Just be safe and be responsible. Do not put other people at risk because we don't know who you've been interacting with. Someone said, is it safe to be a haircut? The general answer to that is no, it isn't. Unless you are cutting your hair yourself, unless someone is living with you that is cutting your hair, you should not be getting a haircut. Your barber may be a wonderful person. For example, my barber is literally my cousin. But as you can see, I do not have a haircut. I have to maintain it myself for the time being because I want to keep everyone safe. I want to keep him safe. You don't know if your barber or your beautician has interacted with someone that has the virus and is not showing symptoms. You can't practice social distancing and when you're getting your hair done or cut. It's just simply not possible. So unless someone that lives with you is doing or cutting your hair or you're doing it yourself, then don't do it. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, anybody. If there are no other questions, I am going to say thank you all for joining us again today. Be sure to check out the rerun of our digital council meeting. We are going to stay connected with you as always. You can always check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Council Press BMS. Stay safe, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.